Have you ever looked at where you are currently in your fitness journey or health journey and then looked at where you want to be? And when you see that huge gap between where you are now to your goal, you get really discouraged, maybe to the point of you want to just give up and quit trying. Well, I want to encourage you today, and I want to help you get unstuck. Welcome to Wellness with Rachel. My name is Rachel Boucher, and today I want to change your perspective on progress by giving you two very powerful visuals. So the first visual comes from a book called The Gap and the Gain. We spend a lot of our time thinking about that gap, that space between point A and point B. And that's not necessarily bad for us to focus on our goals, but when we get stuck in gap thinking, it can be very discouraging because all we see is the gap. We see all the things we need to do to get where we need to be. What we're doing in that moment is we're measuring our progress by something that hasn't happened yet. I'm going to say that again. When we are gap thinking, we are measuring our progress by something that hasn't happened yet. But what if we turned that around? What if we started thinking about the gain instead of the gap? Because gap thinking focuses on that space. Gain thinking turns around and looks back. And we ask ourselves the question, how have we changed? What habits have we implemented? Even if they're small changes, how have we changed? That's the gain. That's where you see the progress. We can ask questions like, how have we changed in our diet? How have we changed? If we're a runner, have we increased our speed? If we're weight training, have we increased weight at any time in our journey? That is the game. My daughter is in high school, and it's our youngest daughter, and she plays tennis. And we are always talking about where she feels discouraged because she's not where she thinks she should be, or she's not where she wants to be, that goal. And she spends her time in that gap. And it's discouraging. And so most of the time I'm encouraging her and I'm saying, but look at where you've come. You're not hitting foam tennis balls anymore. You know how to grip the racket. You know how to place the balls. You know how to use your footwork. And so that is gain thinking compared to living in the gap. So a simple way you can do this is to ask yourself a question. How far have I come? And you might need to get a little creative. You might need to think outside of the box a little bit. What are some things that you have seen change? Little changes along the way where you're not where you used to be. That's gain thinking. So that's the first visual, is switching our mindset from the gap to the gain. The second one is really helpful for when we're just starting or when we're just not sure where to start and we feel stuck. So you've all played dominoes at some point in your life, and as a kid you've probably lined up those dominoes just right in a long line so that you can then knock down that first domino and just see the effects of that first domino. So I watched an illustration, Mel Robbins did this, and it was so good, just talking about how we get from point A to point B. So as we line up those dominoes, that space is the gap, right? All those little dominoes lined up is the gap. It's filling up the gap. But there's one crucial step that has to happen. We have to put that first domino in the right spot. Because what happens if we have the dominoes lined up and we have this one little domino, the first one, way over here, and you knock it over, you're not going to see any results. You're not going to see any change. But if we take that first tiny step and we put that first domino right next to the next one, what happens when we knock it over? It causes a huge chain reaction that then just begins this huge process that is called progress. So think about that first tiny step, that first habit you need to maybe start. Maybe it's just getting your greens in daily in a simple way. Maybe it's starting a morning routine. Whatever it is, one tiny step can then begin this domino effect that will affect your gap. But this little step is the gain. This little step could be watching a video like this to move yourself forward. It could be listening to a podcast. It could be anything. I want you to think outside of the box. These are gains, and this is progress. James Clear talks about that there's not much difference with a 1% change, right? It's not even noticeable. but there is huge impact when you see that 1% grow over time. For example, he says, if you were to move forward or change 1% or get better 1% every day for a whole year, by the end of the year, you would be 37 times better. That's significant. That is progress. And here's some other math for you that I find very interesting. If you were to save $8 a day, just $8 a day, maybe don't buy your Starbucks or whatever it is, $8 a day for a whole year, after that year, you would have saved $3,000. Here's another one. If you read 20 pages of a book a day, you can read 30 books in 1 year. And if you walk 10,000 steps a day for a year, you would have walked 70 marathons. Never underestimate the power of small habits. Those small habits are building gains in your life. And that's where we need to spend our time thinking. We need to spend our time with gain thinking and not gap thinking. So next time you're discouraged and you feel stuck because you're stuck in that gap mindset, look backwards. Think about how far you've come. Think about what small step you can take, what little domino you can place in that spot to get you momentum and to get you moving forward. Change your perspective about progress by focusing on the gain and by taking that first tiny step and then the next one and then the next one and starting this domino effect, because little gains add up to big gains. Thanks so much for listening. If you are interested at all in any of the products that I'm using today or any of our other plant-based nutrition products, what I'm using today is our Green Synergy. This is a daily dose of greens with 13 phytonutrients from fruits and veggies. And it also has a vegan collagen builder that helps with hair, skin, nails, and joints. It also has a prebiotic and a probiotic with digestive enzymes. So this is a debloater. It helps with inflammation and all those things. And then I'm also adding in our fizz. This is pomegranate, and you can get this in a set. If you need more information, you can follow the link in this video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and remember, little gains add up to big gains.